All right, guys, welcome back, and we're going to be doing the final installation. So because we're going to be disconnecting and taking the airbag out, as always, we want to do 8 millimeters on the battery. We'll slide this guy off, and we're going to set it to the side for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. We'll be back in 20 minutes. All right, guys, now that we've waited the 20 minutes, we're going to go ahead and take the steering wheel out, take the multi-function switch out, take everything out. So first things first, we need to get our 10 millimeter socket. So I just have to remember where I put my socket. Okay, so you either can get a deep socket or one with an extension here. And we're gonna go, now normally, first of all, I've taken the shroud off here. That's something you could do, you just pop off. And then back here, there's 2 plugs. You're gonna take those plugs out. You need a little pick tool. The plugs look like this when you pop them out. Mine already popped out. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stick this inside that hole, and I'm going to start untightening those. Maybe it's not 10 millimeter. Let's try 8. Seems like everything in the car is either 10 or 8. And 8 it is. So you're gonna undo those 2 bolts. So now you might have a hard time getting it out once you loosen it. I usually recommend you have like a set of pliers or a magnetized socket or something magnetized so that you can more easily grip them. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I am probably gonna struggle here because now I'm realizing I don't have my pliers in here, nor do I have anything with a magnet. So sometimes what you can do is you can pull on the airbag, and that will give the screw a little bit more to, you know, loosen against. But okay, I am stuck as I suspected I would be. Yep. Okay, looking around, what do I have in here? I really don't want to run back into the house. Nothing back there. All right, I am just not having luck here. And every time I get it loose, I keep sticking it, pushing it back in. Yeah, I can feel it's wedged in there because I don't have something to pull it out using. Okay, well, I got that one out, so the airbag's gonna come out. Now I just gotta get this one. To be honest, when I say I got it out, it really just kind of fell inside. So we're gonna try the same on this side, see if I can just kind of make the screw fall. Don't be like me, bring in a pair of pliers, needle nose pliers or something, so that you can grab it. This is just not working out. I'm getting pliers, I guess. Oh, God damn it. Okay, airbag out. Now, here's one bolt. Here is the other bolt. Okay, now all you have to do on here is squeeze the tabs on each side, and you're going to pull the plugs out. If you left the airbag off, honestly, I've done this without taking the battery out, but whatever. Better safe than sorry, right? So I have these extra wires in here. You are not going to have these extra wires. I have them because I did my LED swap, but really what you just need to do is undo one plug in the middle, which is going to be your Clockspring plug. Oy. And then I have an extra RGB LED plug, which I added to my Clockspring. So I need to make sure I unplug that gently. Okay. Now, once you've done that, you just have to take out the middle bolt here. That is 24 millimeters. So all you got to do is loosen that guy up. And once you've done that, once we've got that bolt out, 24 millimeters, steering wheel should just be able to come straight out. Now just be careful your airbag wires don't get snagged or get caught, because that can cause you to feel a little bit of a headache. But there we go. Steering wheel is out. Now we want to take the Clockspring out and the Clockspring assembly. So the first thing we want to do is make sure the Clockspring assembly is unplugged. I also have my RGB LED plug here, which you guys wouldn't have, but I'm going to go ahead and unplug that. And now, I believe we've torqued, this is 15. Well, I guess 15 works, but I think you're really supposed to use Torx 20. So let's see. Torx 20, nice and snug. So we're going to take that, unplug that one. Sorry, unscrew. Unscrew this one. And now our Clockspring comes out. Okay, so Clockspring is out. And finally, we want to take the assembly out. So we're going to take this Torx 20, and there is, I believe, 4 screws. Bolts. I guess these are bolts. I don't know. 1, 2. There's 2 on the bottom here, and then 2 on the top up here. Easiest way to access those is to push your steering wheel adjuster and push it down, and then you should be able to get in the back there, as long as you don't have a massive screwdriver. Okay, 3, 4. All right, now that that's out, we can pull this out. Now you're going to have a plug back here that plugs into your multifunction switch. We are going to unplug that, and now we're going to set this aside. So at this point, you've completely disconnected everything related to your steering column, that now we can actually start putting everything back for the new thing. There's a couple call outs that I'm going to tell you about right now. Here, it goes right in. it would appear that my mounting holes will be lined up, right? So once I slide it on, those holes will line up. There is a mounting hole over here that will line up to the one on the ignition. And then there's another one here, which would appear to line up with that hole. The issue is this plastic tab here, I guess on the S550, there's a slot or somewhere for that to slide into. So see, on here, there's nowhere. It doesn't actually fit in that hole. So right off the bat, I know I'm going to need to cut that off to get this to slide in. So, yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that piece. So the next time we see each other, this will be cut off. This black, I'm specifically talking about this right here, by the way, just so there's no confusion. This whole piece here will be cut off on the back. I'm not shy about doing that because, as I've mentioned in the past, I've already made some modifications to this Clockspring assembly. So, all right, well, we'll be back. And we're back, and as you can see, I quickly use a Dremel, cut that piece nice and flush, and let's see how this slides right in. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, I don't like that this wire is hanging to the side here, so I'm just going to see if I can adjust that. Can this go further in? Yes, it can. Again, just trying to get it so that my box is going to be able to be hidden up underneath here somehow. All right, so now that we've gone through that, let's start putting this Clockspring and Clockspring assembly and everything back together. Now, I brought this out in one piece, which was probably a bad idea. So let me first take my Clockspring assembly and my steering wheel apart. I was doing some testing in the house ahead of this. So, the one thing I will say is, I'm going to disconnect all of my wires except for that. Okay, I never screwed the Clockspring to the Clockspring assembly. I wonder if these screws will work. I'm going to use them. We're shipping it. All right, that's one. Now, this technically should use 4 screws, but honestly, guys, I left the actual screws in the house. The one thing that I have to call out here is that because of the way we set this up, our one plug goes through the assembly and into the Clockspring from behind. Because of that, you're not going to be able to put the assembly in without the Clockspring. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to plug that in from behind. So we're going to put it in as one big piece here. Okay, so let's slide that on. And make sure none of your wires are kind of overlapping. Make sure they're all snug where they need to go. I think once we start to tighten this guy up, we're kind of going to be out of luck. All right, that feels snug. Everything looks like it's in. Now, before I do anything, I'm going to reach up under here and feed my multifunction switch plug through the back. So that way I can plug it in here from beneath. And I can set that up under and not be worried about it. Remember, I have my box here, which is going to control everything. And I'm going to stick that up underneath that steering column piece there, so that's gone. Okay. Let me start screwing all of these 4 bolts back in. Oh, I do not like how loose that is. I don't even like, for some reason that's warping. That doesn't even look right. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to need to go back and get my other screws from in the house for the Clockspring, but let's at least get the assembly screwed in. Where's my 4th screw? There's the airbag ones. Oh, mamma mia. One, two, three. There's another one down there. 4. Did I drop it? Oh, it can never be easy. And it was there the whole time. And I dropped it. Okay, so my multifunction switch is now attached to the steering column. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pause you guys for a second. And I'm going to go get the screws from in the house because, again, I don't like that the Clockspring isn't fully attached. So I'll be back in a few minutes, guys. All right, guys, we're back. I got my Clockspring screws. These are a Torx 10. So let's get these Torx 10 screws in. So that our Clockspring is not using the wrong screws. And it will be nice and snug. Oh. If you could believe it, on the way out here carrying the little baggie, I slipped on the snowy ground and I dropped the screws. So I spent the last 15 minutes looking for them on the ground, which was stupid and a waste of time. All right, much better. That feels better. It's gliding better. Everything feels nice and snug, so that's better. Now what we want to do is remember how we pulled the clock spring out, the position it was in. Want to make sure I have 2 spins in either direction before I put my wheel on. So I'm at 0. 1, 2. Okay, I'm going to go back. 1, 2. Now I'm at 0. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now I know my clock spring is dead center, okay? That's what you want to do before you get this all set up. So now my clock spring's in, my clock spring is set, my multi-function switch is in, everything is in. Now it's time for the steering wheel. So let's get the steering wheel installed. And then we'll deal with the rat's nest below of all these wires and boxes and all these fun little gizmos and gadgets that we are going to need to hook up. So remember, we already plugged in the multi-function switch because we wanted to get that done and out of the way. So that's done. All right, wheel time. So we're going to hold this up. We're going to feed the airbag connectors through. Okay, your clock spring may spin a little, but as long as you don't let go of your airbag connectors, you'll be able to glide it right back in. Your yellow nubs are going to be your guide to installing and sliding onto the wheel, which I am struggling with. Okay, this is weird. So what it looks like is my steering column is actually pointing a little bit higher than the actual assembly. So like this, nah, it's in the middle. It's in the middle. My car's just being, I guess, a little bit of a pain in the ass. What's going on? Okay. So here's what's weird. It appears that the steering wheel is fully seated, but it's almost like the clock spring and the assembly don't it's like they're too shallow. What's going on? So guys, what it feels like, just so you know, is it feels like the clock spring and the multifunction switch they're not deep enough, or they're not as like thick as this assembly is from front to back, I guess from here to here, and that's making the steering wheel like not reach fully into the clock spring. And so what I'm worried about is when I turn the wheel will turn, but the clock spring will not. So let me think about this, and I am going to come back in a moment.